three different things to think about, rather than me having a vent, probably. There's been some talk about whether or not we'll have another lockdown. Yes, there is. Hospitals are demanding the Eustace face nappies to be worn again. Yeah, that's just performative. That's just a power trip again. As for this whatever it was, quademic, whatever's going around. Yeah, I'm still full of cold. Anyway, the politicians, no doubt, probably think, oh, we need to lock down because the NHS has fallen, all the rest of it. We know what the capacity is like and how things are going on in hospitals. People are urged not to turn up, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing every winter, isn't it? And how things are turned worse this time around again. 5 years on. Will we have the temptation for another lockdown courtesy of us Labours, because they want to be seen to protect the envy of the world? Possibly. Can they? Would they? They may well do so. Could they, financially? No. They're bankrupt. Public sector debt is increasing. Percentage for GDP is round about 98%. Was 96% a while ago, but it's now 98%. It probably will go over above 100%. It's probably scheduled to go over 100 to 105% of GDP. Take a look at the bond markets. Take a look at marketwatch.com. They have the rate yields, the rate of the gilts, the yield rate of the gilts, up to 30 years. They're all increasing, by the way. These are sold mainly by the Treasury, basically to sell. It is debt, gilt-edged bond. That's what it is gilt-edged bonds, sold by the Treasury to generate, to bring in money, just to keep the lights on, just to keep the public services running, and pensions paid, and everything else that comes out of the day-to-day. There is no slack. With 2.6 trillion in debt, as I say, equivalent to 98%-ish, 98% or so of GDP. We don't have a sovereign wealth fund. We're the opposite. We're in colossal debt. So, a good way to look at yields, bond yields, is risk of default. In the same way that the best credit card deals, as in the percentage APR, goes to countries, goes to individuals, should say, with the best credit rating. So if you've got a junk credit rating, you can still get a credit card, but your APR, percentage APR, will be sky high. Whereas if you've got a good credit rating, your percentage APR will be much lower. It's the same with the governments. Our bond yields are higher than France's or Germany's because we are at a higher risk. It's the risk of default. And because of that risk of default, it means that those who are lending demanding a higher price. And the Treasury, the point of the Treasury is that they want to sell this debt, these bonds, these gilts, at a low percentage rate. Because obviously means paying less debt, paying less debt interest, which we're paying 320 billion a year over this financial year, just in debt interest alone. That's equivalent to 24, around about 24% of all public spending is just on debt interest, not in clearing the debt, but on debt interest. Oh, and accumulating more debt as well this year, forecast to take on another, is it 55 billion? I'll have to take a look at the OBR again. How much debt the government is due to take on just to balance the budget, because tax revenues aren't enough and spending is out of control. So the percentage yields, if you take a look at Market Watch, you can go through all the different types of yields they are in terms of the length of the bonds. The 30-year bonds are now on 5.2%, just getting close to 5.3%. The highest it's been for over 25 years, since 1998. That's risk, because of the increased risk of default. Therefore, the market is demanding a higher return because of that higher risk. You're riskier, therefore having to pay more debt interest. Same with all the other bonds. The 10-year is 4.6 something, it's clean close on 4.7%. That's been going up steadily over the summer as well. Riskier debt. Riskier, as in we might be not far off with the risk of us defaulting. We probably won't, because it's the markets will decide that as to whether or not we are in a position to be able to actually repay any of this off. We took out printed 400 billion pounds of quantitative easing, free money, the Bank of England did, during the Chinese cough. And that led to 12% inflation. So they'd have to do the same. If they did want another lockdown, they'd have to print another hundreds of billions of funny money, dump that into the economy, tell everyone to hide behind the sofa, for that'll generate more higher inflation, more debt interest, and just even tank the economy even further, what's left of it. As we had a fascinating conversation this morning about that with a, I'm not going to say who he is. He's in a good position to know all this stuff. So, will it? Another lockdown? They probably would want to be that foolish to do it, considering how completely and utterly incompetent they are. But financially it'd be a complete disaster. But then what they're doing is a complete disaster anyway, so it doesn't make any difference there, does it? Disaster begets disaster. So that's what's going on. They can't afford it, but they probably will still want to do it. There's a lot more financial stuff behind it in terms of how bad the economy is. Tax receipts going down, vacancies are shriveling up. People being laid off because of the national insurance increase, and also the increase in the minimum wage and the living wage. Talented people leaving the UK because it's a shithole. Yeah, all the if you can sum up all of the wrong things to do, people are doing it and having to suffer.